Hi, let me ask you an English question, okay? Which of these is correct? Is it correct to say, I'm going home, or I'm going to home? Which one is right? I'm going home, or I'm going to home? Well, I hope you said this one, because it's right. And next question, I'm going to bank, or I'm going to the bank? Which one is right? I'm going to bank, or I'm going to the bank? Okay, in this case, this one is right. Okay, I'm going to the bank. All right, so my name is Rebecca, and in today's lesson, we're going to talk about one of the most common verbs in English, the verb go, and we're going to discuss which prepositions go with the word go. Which prepositions are used with the verb go most frequently? Because sometimes we use no preposition, sometimes we use the preposition to, sometimes we say to a, sometimes we say to the, and sometimes we use other prepositions like go on something, go for something. So I'm going to try to show you some patterns here that will make your life a little bit easier when you're using this very, very common verb. Okay? All right. So, going home. All right. So first, there are a number of words where we don't use any preposition. So we just say, I'm going home, or I'm going downtown. All right? For that, we don't need to say the or anything else, and no preposition at all. We also use go with a number of gerunds that describe various types of activities, right? Or sports, like he's going shopping, she's going swimming, we are going camping, they're going dancing, I am going fishing, or he's going sailing, all right? These are examples of using the verb go plus a gerund for an activity, a sporting activity. Okay, so that's one group. Second set is when you use go to. So we use go to when we're talking about class. I'm going to class. I'm going to work. He's going to school today. They're going to college. They're going to university. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. He's going to prison, or he's going to jail. All right? You see, I didn't say I said he or she, but hopefully no one, but sometimes people go to prison or jail. Okay? That's with to. Another situation where we use go to is with cities. For example, he's going to Washington tomorrow. She's going to Amsterdam. All right? Also with countries, we say go to. We don't need to say the, because these are already proper nouns. We don't need to say the. So he's going to Japan for the summer. I'm going to Italy next year. All right? That's an example. Also, you see here the names of two continents. So, for example, I'm going to Europe for my holiday. Or he's going to visit, he's going to Asia for a trip. Okay? So you could also use them with continents. So cities, countries, continents, go to, as well as these places that we mentioned here. How do we remember all this? Well, by watching this video. Second, by practicing a lot. By looking at some sort of organizing principle here. Like here we see cities, and here we see countries, and here we see continents. And here we see a lot of places that have to do with school, college, work, okay? Look for some sort of a principle that helps you to remember these places. Next category is when we say go to a, all right? For example, I'm going to a party tonight. I'm going to a conference next week. I'm going to a concert, okay? So here we are saying a party, because we don't know which party. It's just a party. and it's a conference and it's a concert. We are not mentioning a specific one. If the person you're talking to knows the party or the conference or the concert, then you can say, I'm going to the concert tonight. Because then both of you know which concert you're talking about. But if you're just telling somebody, so somebody asks you, what are you doing tonight? Where are you going? Well, I'm going to a concert. And then they might say, well, which concert? Okay? Let's continue. Next one, to go to the. Going to the doctor. I'm going to the doctor because I'm not feeling well. Or I need to go to the dentist. I have a toothache. Or I need to go to the specialist. Okay? Or he needs to go to the specialist because he broke his leg. All right? In this case, we say the because we usually know the doctor we're talking about, or the dentist, or the specialist. All right? And it means the one that we usually see. All right? We also use the, go to the, when we talk about the bank, the supermarket, the mall, the airport. All right? Why? Because again, usually we know which bank we're talking about. It's the one that we always go to. And we know which supermarket, right, where we usually shop. We know which mall, and we know that we're usually talking about the airport in our city. So that's why when we say, I'm going to the airport, most people know which airport you mean and which airport you're referring to. So that's why we use the. It can be specific because people understand the specific one you're talking about. Now, so those were go to a, and go to the. Next, I'm going to just talk about a couple of other exceptions. There are many exceptions with go, but let's talk about some common ones. There's to go on. So you could say, for example, she's going on a vacation next week. She's going on a cruise, or she's going on a trip, or on a tour, for example. So you could see this category is sort of to do with holidays, cruises, trips, tours, right? I'm going on a holiday also. Okay, and the last one that I've written for you today is to go for. Now we're going to use the noun. You see here we were using the verb and the gerund form. So you could say I want to go jogging, but I need to go for a jog or a swim, a walk, a drive. To go, would you like to go for a walk? We could ask somebody, right? Would you like to go for a swim? I need to go for a drive. Okay? So these are some of the most common uses of go and prepositions. All right? I know there is a lot to remember, so try to watch this video, review it, also do the quiz that's right after it. But what I'm going to do right now is to ask you a few questions just to see if you remember some of these things that I've already taught you. So if I have the sentence, I need to go blank post office today. I need to go blank post office. So what do we say? I need to go to the post office. I need to go to the post office because the post office means the post office that's near your house or the post office you usually go to. Correct? Next one. What time are you going blank home? What time are you going blank home? So the answer will be that we need no preposition here. What time are you going home? All right? Good. When we were on holiday, we went blank swim every day. We went blank swim every day. So here, because you're using the noun, it will be we went for a swim. We went for a drive, like that. I went blank Paul McCartney concert this summer, which is actually true. I was in Vegas and I saw Paul McCartney and he was amazing. So what would we say here? I went blank Paul McCartney concert this summer. So what could you say? here, right? I went to a Paul McCartney concert, or any concert. I went to a concert. Next one, your leg looks swollen. I think you should go blank doctor. I think you should go blank doctor. So it will be go to the doctor. The doctor that is your doctor. That's why we say the doctor. And last one, Maria is going blank Paris to learn French next month. Maria is going blank Paris. So what would we say? Do we say going Paris? Maria is going to Paris. Maria is going to a Paris, to the Paris. We just say Maria is going to Paris because Paris is a city, and with cities we don't need to say a or the. Okay? So I hope this lesson helps you with this very common verb. If you'd like to do a quiz on this, visit our website at www.engvid.com. I'm sure it will help you to master the verb go and also its prepositions. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.